Dudley Bradley. Dudley Bradley for the stop. 70-68. 3, 2, 1. Matthews off balance, off the glass. Dudley Bradley's defense did it. And ready on his second attempt. That one is no good. They battle for it. Loose ball. Recovered Marvin. He scores. Pushes into Hubert Davis. 8 seconds. Davis trying to get free. Over to Fox. Fox, baseline. Up for the shot. Good. Off the glass. Oklahoma calls timeout. But the game is over. The game is over. Carolina has upset number 1 Oklahoma.
Turns it over. Kenny Williams with the steal. Gets it to Barry. 17 seconds to go. Barry, Duke not fouling. Gets it to Johnson. To Pinson for the highlight. Inbounds goes deep on the right sideline to May. Holy smokes, a long three! Are you kidding me? Holy cow! Pinson gets all the way to the rim, and what a way to pick up his first field goal of the season by throwing down the tomahawk.
With 20 seconds left to play, goes back to Michael Jordan, jumper from out on the left, good! 63-62, 13, 12, 11, Georgetown with one timeout. Fred Brown looking, way to Worthy! Worthy 5! The Tar Heels are going to win the national championship!
Rebounded by Weber. Michigan out of timeout. Weber front court. Carolina with foul. He takes the timeout. They're out of timeout. Technical foul. Technical foul. Brown gets it into Williams. Here comes Williams front court. Williams on the drive. Gets it back out the head. Long outside shot. Short rebounded. May. It's over. Carolina has won the national championship. How about them Tar Heels? They are the national champions.
That's it! Make room for 2017. The Tar Heels are the national daggum champions.
This is the Roy's Boys Podcast with your host, Joshua Marlowe.
Hey everybody, welcome in to another edition of the Roy's Boys Podcast, powered by Carolina Electrical Services. Josh and Anthony, we are back. We have now kind of decompressed from the season opening win against Notre Dame. We got to turn our heads to the first road game of the year as Carolina travels in-state. They go to UNC-Wilmington tonight against Wilmington. That kind of
nice. You nailed it.
Yeah,
we're going to Wilmington.
We're going to Wilmington to play
Wilmington.
Trask Coliseum, sold out crowd. Figures to be a unique environment tonight for Carolina as they get their first road test of the year.
Yeah. This is kind of similar to Elon last year. A team that, I don't really know a whole lot about them. I do not think that UNC-Wilmington was projected to make it out of the Colonial Athletic Conference.
So what you mean to tell me is you come to a podcast unprepared.
You don't know it either.
About the opponent.
Where are they supposed to finish in the Colonial Athletic Conference?
Where
did they finish in the Colonial Athletic Conference preseason polls, sir?
12th.
I actually believe that. They are not scheduled to. This is not Kevin Keith's UNCW team, unfortunately.
I'll keep this in mind when I roll up for Pittsburgh on the football side of things, and I'm completely unprepared.
There's really not much to be prepared about for Pittsburgh. Kenny Pickett is not good. They are going to run the football a lot, and they've never beaten Carolina since they moved over to the ACC. There's your quick preview with UNC Wilmington. C.B. McGrath's the head coach. They have a kid that I believe starts that was a member of my old high school at one time, and that's pretty much all I know about them.
Yeah, and really, you touched on why this game's being played. C.B. McGrath, former player under Roy Williams at Kansas, coached with him at Kansas, and followed him to Carolina when Roy came back home back in 2003. Took the Wilmington job last year. We've seen Roy Williams play these kind of games when his assistants leave. You remember Gerard Haas at UAB.
Yeah, we didn't like that.
Yeah, it kind of came back to bite us in the butt when they beat us back in 2014. And, of course, when he's at Stanford now. Carolina went to Palo Alto a couple of years ago, and Stanford was in the Smith Center just a year ago.
Old Wes Miller at old UNCG at
one
time. So he likes to do that. And he also likes to help the in-state schools because he opened the Shar Center, which I will never forget that after last year. the name of that place being brought up so many times. But yeah, this is a cool little thing that he does in state with some of the smaller programs to try to help them out.
Yeah, and something we can brag about. You're not going to see Kay, Calipari.
I wasn't going to be that
Izzo.
guy.
I'm going to be that guy. But none of those other coaches are going to do it. Roy Williams gets that basketball's bigger than him, bigger than Carolina. And this is another example of that. And look, we can't go into a whole lot of depth about Wilmington because it's UNC-Wilmington.
They are not and they are not a team that's expected to be very, very good.
And so look, they won their season opener Tuesday night against Johnson and Wales, 103-82.
Resume builder, baby.
Jalen Sims led the way for them with 19 points. They only out-rebounded Johnson and Wales 45-40. Turned the ball over 15 times. They forced 24, but all right, there's two really big keys that they struggled with against an inferior opponent on their own right. Now they're going against a superior opponent. You struggle rebounding the ball, taking care of the basketball. It seems like Carolina will be able to feast in those categories tonight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you would think that this is a game that really fits, the talent of Carolina really well. Especially inside. We saw them be pretty effective inside against Notre Dame. I think a lot of people are probably going to be focused on Cole Anthony. I'm really interested to see what the transfers can do because they struggled in their first game, in a Tar Heel basketball uniform. Now, I mean, yeah, this game will be a little bit easier, but you are on the road. This will be interesting because this kind of fits them a little bit more. This is what they're used to playing against. So we'll see there. I think this game is one where I think we're going to get to see what depth pieces we really have. Some guys are going to play a little more. And this is, one of those games early in the year that you kind of got to take advantage of being able to go deeper into your bench because you're playing a, inferior opponent because you're not going to get that many chances to do that as we start to roll through the rest of the non-conference schedule and then eventually into conference play.
Yeah, something I wrote down in the layout of the podcast was this feels like a game for Keeling and Pierce to get a little more comfortable on both ends of the floor, gain some confidence in their ability to play at this level because they are kind of going to a more familiar setting, smaller gym. Talent level is going to decrease dramatically tonight. But it's important for them to perform well in a game like this because they are so important for this team's success that the quicker that they're more comfortable with who they are on this team, the better. I think one of the things I'm interested to see tonight is how does Carolina handle the emotional high of Wednesday night tonight? Because Wednesday night was in some ways an emotional win for this year's team because you're opening the season against an ACC opponent. A lot of questions about what kind of team this is going to be. Notre Dame's kind of given Carolina fits over the years. And the game was in doubt midway through the second half, and Carolina went on a big run, mainly led by Cole Anthony, to kind of pull away late and get a marginal victory. And so how do they handle success? And how do you handle tonight being in a sold-out gymnasium that doesn't happen for UNC-Wilmington? It's a special night for those guys. The game's not going to be on national TV, so no one's going to be watching you. So how do does that affect them? Does this team have a quote-unquote letdown game tonight?
Well, I mean, I don't know if they will have a letdown game. I feel like, look, if there's somebody that's going to get you motivated to play these types of games, it's Roy Williams because he's been doing it for, what did he say in his press conference the other day? 32 years of coaching. I mean, this is Roy's been in this position so many times that he's going to be able to get these guys up and ready to go. But yeah, no, I mean, this team, they have to make sure that they don't overlook this team because, look, I mean, this is the biggest game of the year for UNCW. Plain and simple. You're welcoming in a team that is ranked in the top 10 in the country to your building, and it's going to be on your local television station only. That's the only place you're going to be able to watch it. This is huge. So for them, they're going to come out fired up. And they're going to have some intensity. And early in the season, we've seen some of these teams, they've struggled against some of these smaller schools that, come out of the gate hot. It takes them a while to put them away. Carolina wants to be able to get deeper into that bench. Like I was saying a few minutes ago, they want to be able to maybe eventually get the Blue Squad guys on and give these guys that are going to be playing just huge amounts of minutes throughout the year. I mean, look, Garrison Brooks played 39 minutes the other night against Notre Dame. Cole Anthony, 37. And then Leaky Black, 33. These are the types of games where if you can avoid having those guys on the floor for that long, you want to make sure you can do that. The best way to do that is to come out ready to go in this game, pull away early, and give yourself a comfortable lead in the second half. That would be nice for this Carolina basketball team.
Yeah, this feels like a game where you're trying to build a little bit of depth, a little more confidence in a guy like a Walker Miller or Brandon Huffman, who you're going to have to put out there at stretches. They both saw the floor the other night, but they were both in the game less than 2 or 3 minutes because it was just the situation of the ball game. Cole Anthony the other night was sensational. 34 points, 6 of 12, 6 11 from 3, 11 rebounds.
Good. He's pretty good.
What are expectations for him as he now plays in the second collegiate ball game, first game on the road?
Well, I mean, look, I think that people are going to say, okay, well, he did that against Notre Dame. I can't wait to see what he's going to do against UNC-Wilmington. Okay, that was a spectacular performance. You could tell that there was a lot of motivation there. First game of his collegiate career, his dad in the building for his first game. I think that, definitely served as a little bit of extra motivation for him to come out and say, look, I've got a lot of expectations. I need to step up and play that way. I think he'll have another strong game. I could see him probably going over the 20-point mark once again, just because this an inferior opponent, and it feels like that's kind of the type of guy that he is. It seems like that was the thing about Kobe. Was last year, he shot the ball so often and was in control of the ball so often, but he would also have those stretches, and I feel like that's how Cole's going to be, where when he gets hot, he will score 10, 12 points in the matter of, 2 or 3 minutes. It's going to happen. There are going to be stretches because he is that type of scorer. So, I think he'll have another solid performance. I don't think it'll be better than the Notre Dame game, but guess what? That's okay. Just because it is an inferior opponent doesn't mean that he's going to automatically come out and has to be better. The other thing is, hopefully he won't have to play as much, so he might not have a chance to score as much. I'm okay with that. I'm okay giving him a little bit of a breather in a game like this, but I still think he comes out and performs very well all around, because that's pretty much what his game is. Very complete player, as we talked about the other night.
A guy who struggled Wednesday night was Leaky Black on the offensive end. Did the leaky things that we love, was active in the rebounding portion. He added 5 assists.
Did the leaky things that we love, yeah.
But struggled scoring. Only had 5 points on 2 of 7 shooting. We need more from him tonight. It's not a game where we kind of see him will get more comfortable and start getting the kind of player we want him to be offensively.
Yeah, well, I think this is, a really good chance to kind of find out what he is offensively, because we didn't learn a whole lot about him last year because, frankly, we just didn't have enough time to learn a lot about him. And there were a lot of guys in front of him that were already sort of in their roles and ready to go and played really well early in the season. So, when he got injured, that was a big blow for him, because he was a guy that was sort of starting to settle into that role and beginning to find himself just a little bit. So now, we're still kind of left, having to figure out exactly what he is on the offensive end. I think we know what he is on the defensive end. He's kind of, and everybody likes to draw the comparisons to Theo Pinson. He's really active. He's got good length on him. He can rebound. On the offensive end, we got to find out, is he a guy that, has the ability to take the ball to the basket and finish inside? Is he a guy that, at 6'7" can back a defender down, especially against some of these lesser teams, and get points inside if needed? Or is he the guy that can step out and shoot the basketball? I think that's the biggest thing for him in this game, is finding out where he is most comfortable on the offensive end. And if he could do that, I think that'd be a very successful game for him.
Another part where Carolina struggled was, as a team, they turned the ball over 18 times. Some of that, you got to give credit to Notre Dame. Some of that was just Carolina not knowing how to play with one another just yet. Those turnovers are going to happen. And missed 7 foul shots. A lot of times when you see those numbers pop up in a stat sheet, normally you lose the ball game. Carolina very fortunate to overcome those kind of miscues. Carolina can do that again tonight and win, but it feels like, it'd be good to kind of